Hi-Fi Rush deserved way better. Before we begin, I'd like to give a brief introduction of the game, my experience with it, and why it's been making headlines recently. I'll also try my best to avoid spoilers for those of you that either haven't finished it or haven't played it at all yet. So without further ado, let's get started. First off, I had not heard anything about this game until the most recent Game Awards, where Hi-Fi Rush won the award for Best Audio Design.
And the Game Award goes to Hi-Fi Rush.
The soundtrack from the game that played while the representatives came on stage to accept the award piqued my interest. So, after a quick Google search, I really took a liking to the art style. I learned that the game was released the same day that it was announced, so that's probably why I hadn't heard of the game up until this point. I also saw that it was available on the Game Pass and decided to download it, knowing very little about it. And man, was it the best decision I have ever made. Hi-Fi Rush is a vibrant and colorful world that utilizes a comic book art style to tell its story. While the story itself is pretty simple and straightforward, that doesn't take away from the enjoyment. Our ragtag group of would-be heroes is made up of our main character, Chai, followed by Peppermint, Macaron, and Cinnamon, as they go on a quest to uncover the dark secrets of Vandalay Technologies' mysterious Project Armstrong and stop them from happening. The gameplay itself is reminiscent of Devil May Cry light action mixed with rhythm game elements that make for a very engaging and satisfying combat system. Mix that with having to time your attacks to the rhythm of the many songs of the game, and you'll soon discover that this game is truly something unique and special. Like the attack swings, the attacks landing were all on in sync with the tempo. The game also frequently switches from third-person action to 2D side-scrolling platformer, so the gameplay experience always feels fresh. The game also has different challenge modes, like Rhythm Tower, a roguelike mode where you defeat waves of enemies one after another. You can then choose to either spend your time bank on healing items or other upgrades, or save up your time for a tougher fight later down the line. And once that reaches 0, you'll have to start from the beginning again. Or you can try fighting off your arthritis in the BPM Rush mode, where you will again fight a wave of enemies, but this time, each wave that you defeat, the tempo increases, reaching ridiculously fast levels that legitimately tired me out when I finished it on normal mode. It was just really refreshing to play a game whose whole goal was for the player to just have fun. The cheesy but lovable dialogue, the gorgeous colors and art style, the engaging gameplay, no battle pass, no forced internet connection, no game-altering microtransaction. It was the first time in a long time where I felt like I was a little kid again, rushing home to play this game all day. A feeling that reminded me of games like Jak and Daxter, Spyro, Ratchet & Clank, and many other games similar to those mentioned. Last but not least, the music. Since I was streaming my playthrough on Twitch, I had to play using the streamer mode to avoid licensing and copyright issues, but the game's original soundtrack was still addictingly catchy and enjoyable. I'm a huge music nerd and love it when a song syncs up with whatever it is I'm doing in a game, whether it be accidental or intentional. But to have the music sync up throughout the entirety of my playthrough fired off so many neurons in my brain. I felt like an iPad kid, like watching Subway Surfers while playing Subway Surfers. Oh my god! Dude! Each track fit the environment and level perfectly with the varying tempos and genres. All of these elements come together to form such a beautiful package that is Hi-Fi Rush. Unfortunately, these type of games do not make enough money to satisfy investors, shareholders, and corporate heads. As of May 7th, 2024, Microsoft has made the unfortunate decision to shut down Tango Gameworks Studios, who are responsible for not only Hi-Fi Rush, but also The Evil Within 1 and 2 and Ghostwire Tokyo, among other studios. As soon as I beat Hi-Fi Rush, I desperately wanted more, whether it be in the form of DLC or a sequel, but now, we will never see that happen. To add insult to injury, Matt Booty, head of Xbox Game Studios, said, a day after the closure of Tango Gameworks, and I quote, "We need smaller games that give us prestige and awards." To which Kazuaki Ikashira, I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but project manager of the studio, responded with a photo of several awards that the game received captioned, "Not enough?" Later on, Xbox president Sarah Bond was also questioned about the closure of the studios, despite their recent success, in which Sarah Bond spent close to a minute avoiding the question with typical PR fluff. Things like, "We love how creative the game industry is," the usual nothing burger answer.
One of the things that was most upsetting both to Xbox gamers and to employees is that, one of the shuttered studios in particular just created a hit game, did really well on Game Pass in terms of engagement, and won a ton of awards. Shouldn't succeeding in that way ensure the future of a studio?
One of the things I really love about the games industry is it's a creative art form.
How does that answer the question at all? It is a new level of tone deafness to close a studio behind such beloved games and then to put out statements like that within the same week. I don't want to end this video off on a negative note though, so I want to talk about some of the good that's come out of this whole situation. As I mentioned before, Hi-Fi Rush dropped the same day it was announced and managed to do quite well. Imagine if the game had proper promotion and marketing. The game would be doing even better than it is now. But in an industry where games as a service are becoming more and more prevalent, Microsoft probably thought it was more beneficial to shut down game studios behind titles like Hi-Fi Rush, despite claiming the need for such games, and focus more on developing games that can turn out a profit more quickly. The news of the studio's closure has caused a huge uproar amongst the gaming community, to the point where Hi-Fi Rush is currently getting positively review bombed on Steam, as the community is coming together to leave overwhelmingly positive reviews of the game. I still find myself going back to the game months later just because the game is so enjoyable, but sadly, the positive sentiment surrounding the game just isn't enough to satisfy Microsoft and their desire to make big name IPs. It's such a shame because I just learned recently that upon completing all the challenges in Hi-Fi Rush, there's a secret ending that hints towards a potential sequel, but I guess we won't be seeing that happening. As I mentioned before, the game is available to download on the Xbox Game Pass and about $30 on Steam, which honestly is totally more than worth the price. The story, characters, art style, gameplay, music, everything this game has to offer has so much love and care put into it. It is a crime that it was so undermarketed and underpromoted. So I ask that you show everyone who worked on this game your support by checking this game out for yourself. And who knows, maybe one day, later down the line, we'll see a spiritual successor to this fantastic game. Hello everyone. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. This is the first time where I sat down, wrote a script, and recorded a video for the channel, and not just upload an edited VOD for my stream. So I hope you enjoyed it, but I also apologize if there are any issues with it. At the moment, I don't really have a main game that I'm focusing on, aside from the Yakuza / Like a Dragon series, although we just finished Infinite Wealth a little bit ago. So for the time being, I'm going to be playing a variety of RPGs on stream for the first time. At the time of me recording this video, I'm going to be finishing my first ever playthrough of Persona 3 Reload. After that, I'm looking to play Final Fantasy IX for the first time, as well as both Hellblade 1 and 2. So if any of those games interest you, I'd love for you to stop by and hang out with us. It's always a good time. So until the next video or stream, hope you have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon.